Have you ever found yourself stuck in front of the blank page, trying to figure out what to do, but you're too scared because what if you do something that doesn't turn out good? What if it isn't perfect? A lot of times we tend to stop ourselves from doing a lot of stuff because we don't know how to do it. And let me tell you a secret. Not knowing how to do something, it's usually how you start to learn how to do something. And we grew up, at least I grew up with this idea that everything I did had to be perfect on the first try because otherwise I was gonna get punished. And we're not gonna go deep into my childhood trauma and the lack of resource my parents had when raising me because they did what they could with what they have, and we're not gonna go down that rabbit hole today. But it's important to understand that perfectionism can really ruin your creativity, especially your artistic creativity. Today, we're gonna talk about some reasons why perfectionism might be ruining your creativity and your art. Starting with the fact that this overthinking and this idea that everything you do has to be perfect will not allow your bad ideas to come out. And what I mean by this is I am a firm believer that most of the things you do are not gonna be good. You're gonna have a few masterpieces here and there, but at least at the start, your art pieces or whatever you are doing are probably not gonna be that good. Sure, there are people that are naturally gifted at certain stuff, and I really envy them. Or maybe you have a mentor that's gonna be able to help you through all the way. Or you have YouTube that's also gonna help you have a smooth sailing. However, your pieces are never gonna be perfect right from the get-go. You're gonna need help and you're gonna need to fail. When we start to think that everything we do has to be perfect, we tend to fall into these overthinking and analysis paralysis where we don't want to do anything because what if it's not good enough? This is very important to understand because that analysis paralysis can be really bad for your creativity. A little example of this is the other day I was assigned to make a campaign for a product in my job, and I was, no kidding, the whole day trying to figure out what will be the perfect title, what will be the perfect concept, and I couldn't think of a single good thing. I managed to make a couple decent concepts, and my boss was like, I like it, but we did it before, so you have to think of something else, or he threw it away because of other reason. And I was trying to get to the perfect thing until I said, you know what? I'm gonna be throwing anything that comes to my mind into this whiteboard for the next 45 minutes. Once that time is up, I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna see what works. And I started writing everything, every single idea that came to mind. I didn't care if it was a bad idea. I knew it was a bad idea more often than not before I even wrote it down, but that didn't stop me. I wrote every single idea. And no joking, in a matter of 45 minutes, I wrote down around 40 different ideas / concepts that I could use. Most of those were bad. Most of those didn't work. However, I found 3 concepts that I thought were very good. I worked them down. I made the proposal. And when I showed them to my boss, he was like, okay, I love it. Perfect. Let's show it to the client. And the rest is history. In this topic, my personal belief is that the more ideas you have, the bigger the chance you have to have something good. It's not that 100% of your ideas are gonna be good. It's just that if you need 100 ideas to have one good one, you wrote 99 ideas, and the 100 is gonna be the good one. You first need to write those 99 bad ideas, especially if you're just starting out. When you know how to do stuff and when you know the principles, probably your radio is gonna be more like, okay, every 10 ideas I'm gonna have one good one, or maybe even every 5 ideas I'm gonna have a good one. But once you are starting, well, you need practice and experience before your brain can automate all those processes. So yeah, don't be afraid to fail. It's part of the process and it's really important for your creativity. Another point is that perfectionism creates a fear of failure. And we grew up thinking that failure is a bad thing because we should be able to do everything perfectly right from the get-go. And that's wrong. We weren't born knowing how to walk, how to talk, how to write, how to read. All those things we learn through failure. We learn through trying and failing and trying again and failing again and trying again and failing again. And Yeah, it's important to figure out how things work, but I think it's equally important to figure out how things not work. Around 7 years ago, my grandmother taught me how to crochet. I just learned like a few basic stitches and I never quite stood with it. But recently, a friend of mine is crocheting and I was like, you know what, I want to try it. But I got a bit overwhelmed about but I don't know how to do the patterns, I don't know how to read them, I have to check if I have the right size of the hook, and yada yada yada. But then, another person that I know that also crochets told me it is a very meditative. I don't know how to pronounce it. Please, Nico, put it on the screen. It's something that could be a meditation exercise. And this stuck with me because I struggle a bit with meditation, especially if it's just close your eyes, think about, I don't know, the forest, the sound of the waves, relax your body, that kind of stuff. I tend to get sidetracked very, very easily. However, if I'm doing something that can help me meditate or keep my mind in something, that's a whole other story. And the idea of having a repetitive movement that I could do was very appealing. So I bought a crochet needle, a hook, I think is the name in English. And I started to just knot. I had no pattern, I had no purpose, and I just wanted to do the repetitive movement. Until one point, I got bored of doing one straight line, and I decided to go back again, and then back again, and it ended up being very amorphous intent of a dinosaur. My sister called it the empanadino, because it looks like an empanada.
This species of variformin's been extinct since the Cretaceous period. I mean, this thing isn't this thing. What?
And if you squint, it might look like a dinosaur, a bit. I started this project with zero idea of how it was gonna end. And also, I didn't want it to be fully finished, in the sense that I didn't want it to be polished. I was not expecting to give this to anyone other than maybe Kimchi for him to play with. And I didn't have in mind that it had to be perfect. It just needed to be something that I could do repetitively over and over again in order to forget about the things that I needed to forget, or just try to relax. Knitting really helped me, and it didn't have the purpose of being anything perfect. And that's my whole purpose with knitting. Then I tried to do a glove. It didn't turn out good, and now I'm making another glove that it's turning way better. Like, I've learned from my empanadino to my failed glove to my less failed glove. I might be able to do it twice, but I'm not sure because I didn't use a pattern. So we'll see. But the point is that having this activity where I was supposed to fail helped me immensely in not worrying about perfectionism. And actually, I think it also helped me in other areas of my life, because when I was feeling blocked, I will just knit without any purpose, without thinking about, oh no, I need to make sure this is perfectly symmetrical. No, I was just knot. I just needed to make knots. And also in this video, you're watching me go without a plan. I saw a video of a traditional artist, a digital artist, and a 3D artist trying to follow a Bob Ross tutorial. And I'm painting what I can remember that they did. What I barely remember that they did with the brushes I have that are not the same, and I'm not even doing the same medium. And I started with a canvas that had purple and blue just because I felt like putting purple and blue over it. Is it gonna end up good? I'm really not sure. I'm honestly not sure how it's gonna end up. But that's part of the joy, that's part of the process. It might be silly little experiments, but these activities help you understand the importance of failure and going to something without any expectations. You never know how it's gonna turn out, and it might turn out great, it might turn out wrong, but it doesn't matter because it's not a high stakes thing. And I totally understand that work is different, especially if you want to make art your job. But as someone that works with creativity, it's also part of the process. Failing, it's a big part of the process. So if you develop this fear of failure, it's not gonna be good because you need to fail a lot of times before being able to do something great. The other day I took an Uber ride and I told him that I work as a creative copy in an advertisement company. And I explained to him that I usually have to propose between 100 and 150 ideas a week, estimated. Like it varies, but let's say that might be the average. And from those, around 20 to 40 make it to the final line. So most of my ideas don't make it even to the client. And the client often says like, nothing works, you have to do it all over again. And they change the brief. And that's annoying, but that's a topic for another video. The point is, I need to create a lot of ideas because in that quantity, I'm gonna find quality. And creating ideas and showing ideas are two different things. I create a lot of ideas. I write down a lot of ideas. And then I decide, okay, this one goes, this one not. And more often than not, I'm like, I like the first part of this idea and I like the second part of this idea. And I think if I add the middle part of this third idea and I Frankenstein them together into one, it might work. Or sometimes I'm like, boss, I need help. I have this, but I don't know how to do it. And we just look at the infinite. We stare at the blank page and they're like, what if you say it like this? What if you say it like that? Okay, what if we take this? Did you saw this reference? You know what? This made me think of that. And that's super important. You can't have that if you have fear of failure. And finally, for this video at least, because this topic is it's a topic I absolutely love, so I'm gonna be making more videos about perfectionism. The third reason perfectionism might be ruining your creativity. It's because it limits your exploration. You think everything you do has to be perfect, you stay in the realm of what you know. You don't dare to try something new in a place you don't know. If you know how to play volleyball, you are Kageyama, you are Hinata, you are one of those top players on volleyball, you are a legend. But then maybe you can learn something from basketball. Maybe you can learn something from football. Maybe you can learn something from gymnastics or, I don't know, art, math, whatever. When you allow yourself to get out of your comfort zone, you allow yourself to see more stuff. I just said volleyball because I love Haikyuu and I want to rewatch it. But let's say in the realm of art, the techniques an oil painter uses are very different from the techniques a digital artist uses. However, the principles are the same, and probably some principles are easier to understand in oil painting rather than digital painting. Or you can find something new and different and maybe more expressive in another medium. Because I would like to know more about art than I do. But I think watercolor, it's probably one of the hardest ways to paint. Probably one of the hardest arts to master. And I want to learn it, you know? It's very intimidating. And I come from a digital background and an ink and pencil background. I am not used to working my colors from back, starting with the undertone and leaving blank spaces for the highlights. I'm used to having my line art and then move the layers around to make it fit to what I want. And if I forgot something, I can always add a layer in between. I can't do that with watercolor, and it requires me to think in a different perspective. And that is very important for your creativity. Even if you don't do it in a conscious way, learning something new will allow you to make more connections in the future. And at the end of the day, creativity, it's all about connecting dots that nobody else thought about. Or maybe that somebody else thought about, but they didn't do it in your area. I take an idea from a different country and I bring it to mine and I adapt it to my environment, to my culture, that is creative thinking. It doesn't need to be a completely original idea. I don't even believe that's possible. You just need to try it, and eventually you're gonna find out something that sticks. That's exactly what I'm doing with this YouTube channel. I'm just trying to do everything that I think it might work and figure out later the details. Because doing something is way more important than thinking about doing something. If you want to learn more about perfectionism and creativity, you can check this video here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.